Morning, everybody.
Morning.
9 a.m. on the 26th, and I'll call to order the Santa Cruz Metropolitan Transit District Board of Directors meeting. We'll begin with a safety debrief by our Safety, Security, and Risk Management Director, Mr. Greg Becker.
Good morning. Just want to give a little safety brief on what to do in the event of emergency that could happen during the meeting. The main emergency exits out of the room, there's two. The main one is directly behind the board of directors next to the presentation slides. You would go through that door, exit out into the parking lot, and our evacuation staging area is right where the parking lot meets Vernon Street. The secondary evacuation route, if that one is no longer is blocked for whatever reason, is directly behind us. It's the main exit. You do not take the elevator if it is evacuation. You want to go down the stairs, exit out through the front entrance, and our main evacuation assembly area is again in the parking lot next to Vernon Street. There's a little sign that's posted there. In the event of an earthquake, make sure we drop, cover, and hold on under sturdy furniture or near interior walls. Stay .911 will be contacted as needed. In the event of an active threat, follow our run, hide, and fight procedure. Run it if it's safe to do so. Hide and silence your devices if you cannot run. And fight only as a last resort. And remember, stay calm, follow instructions, and prioritize your safety. Any questions? Thank you.
Much. I'll proceed with a roll call. Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
And we do have ex officio Director Riskin on the line here. If you want to unmute.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I'm going to need to join the meeting today under the just cause circumstance as allowed by the Brown Act to address a caregiving need of a family member. Sorry, I can't be there in person with y'all.
Okay, and if we need a vote to approve Director Riskin participating remotely.
No, not for just cause, only for emergencies. So the announcement is all we need for just cause.
All right, thank you.
All right. Director Downing is hoping to join us, but is not here yet. Director Dutra. Director Colin Terry Johnson. Present. Director Koenig.
Here.
Director Leonore.
Here.
Director Lynn.
Here.
Director Martinez.
Present.
Director Newsom.
Present.
Director Orbach.
Here.
Director Key Rose Carter will be absent today. Ex officio Director Northcutt and ex officio Director Riskin. Can you hear us, Ed?
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Definitely present.
We have forum.
Thank you. A couple of announcements. Today's meeting is being broadcast by Community Television of Santa Cruz County. And second, we do have language line services providing Spanish interpretation, which will be available during oral communications for any other agenda item for which these services are needed or for any other agenda item. We do have Hector Guzman here to provide interpretation services.
Good morning. My name is Hector Guzman. I will be your Spanish English interpreter. And if anyone needs services, please let the board know so I can be of assistance. Mi nombre es Hector Guzmán. Yo soy un intérprete de inglés español. Si alguien necesita asistencia para cualquier punto de la agenda de hoy, por favor dejen de saber a la mesa directiva. Thank you. Gracias.
Yes. All right, is there any board of directors comments? None, we'll proceed with oral communications to the board of directors. Any member of the public wish to address the board on anything? Or online?
None.
All right, then we'll proceed with labor organization communications.
Morning. I'm not a general chairperson, Mark. Been up here a few times. It's like every time I come in, I'm so nervous. I gotta do this more often. I'm gonna read off of them. I'm not very good at speaking, so bear with me. I'm here today to relay an ongoing concern that the drivers in the union had to bring before you in the past. And once again, since COVID, there's been a multitude of changes to Metro's routes and schedules. While the union appreciates Metro's desire to improve the system, there has been numerous concerns across three general chairpersons. Three general chairpersons about how these changes are created and implemented. Often these changes are made after the contractual timelines allow, leading to confusion and stress among not only our drivers, but also members of the public. Often the public will not use Metro's complaint system regarding these changes that affect them, but will instead prefer to air their grievances to the drivers when they get on the bus. This creates an atmosphere of uncertainty and even times hostility that our drivers have to deal with. Our drivers are already facing high levels of stress from numerous construction projects, increasing traffic, and how additional layers of stress every 3 months have when they are asked to be the public's face portion of Metro when all these changes are being made. Even though our drivers are Metro's front line, their voices and their feedback are often ignored in the planning process. We have had and continue to have major concerns about run times, route and recovery times, and dedicated recovery areas, despite the numerous times we have brought these subjects up. They seem to be ignored. I cannot remember the last time when Metro held public hearings on the directions of our constantly shifting services should take. The union is concerned that these changes are being made by the Chief Planning and Innovations Officer based on methods that he has designed without regard to our drivers and, more importantly, our public. The union is respectfully requesting that the board of directors make action to ensure that no additional major changes are made until our current service package is reviewed publicly and feedback is gathered from employees and members of the public. Our ask is simple. We need to get a grip on these large-scale changes and focus on restoring consistency by making sure our union is included in changes in service that affect our drivers and our riders. Metro is a service to our community, and our community's voices must be heard and considered as we move forward. We should be having publicly available hearings, including Metro staff, members of the board, employees, and members of the public, when they are given the forum to express their concerns, their appreciations, and their suggestions regarding Metro's service. We are strongest as a community together. I thank our CEO, Corey, for continuing to keep open communication lines and have been in, me and Corey have been in meetings to continue to push forward in getting issues that affect the public and our drivers alike resolved. We ask this same commitment be made by all Metro departments. Now we're doing Reimagine Metro. Can you reimagine if we bring back the old routes, the routes that actually worked, and the routes that they were voted on, and they were put together not only by the members, the drivers, and the public? Let's look at that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other labor organization communications? Yeah, an opportunity for any board members to respond to comments. Please.
Yeah, Chair, I'm wondering if it'd be appropriate for CEO Aldridge to respond to how we're addressing some of these concerns, if not now, then in the CEO report.
I'm gonna address it right now. Actually, I've been talking with Jaime, met with Tim, and we met as staff the last week and then again this week to really nail down. We went through the whole process again of the changes and where errors were made, and came up with a process that really set specific deadlines on when changes, any changes have to be established and when they have to be communicated and when that deadline is of when there'll be no additional changes at that point. So we're setting that process in place. We just met yesterday on that. And we'll be communicating that out to the unions and to the employees so they can understand the process of how we're going to be doing things going forward. So we want to make sure that everybody understands and what, if there are changes, what they are, and everybody's in agreement. We want to make sure that we keep SMART as a partner in this, and so that any decisions we do make, everybody's in agreement to.
Just follow-up question, when does that new system and process take effect?
Immediately as we go into this next planning process for the next bid. So. Thank you.
Just a curiosity question. When we do make changes to bus lines or, you know, as a part of Reimagine Metro, are there frontline staff members who are there giving input to that plan and that process? And how do we ensure we hear their voices?
There are, I mean, we have we call it Spark meeting. And that's where we're supposed to meet and review route changes with it. But I think the process, we're gonna make some changes on how we do that a little bit, but yes. But as you heard, they don't feel like their voices are being heard. So we want to change that to make sure that they feel like we're all a part of this. We're all a part of making Metro as great as we can.
Is there a way for them to have a committee that they form?
There is. I mean,
There is,
that's part of
that's
the
what-
meeting. You're right.
Okay.
And then there's an additional meeting that they'll meet with me specifically and with the chief planning officer to once again review.
I just want to say to Smart that we are listening to you and we are going to work with Corey to help both teams come together and make decisions on what's going on with the routes, because I know that I ride the bus a lot, so I get affected by these changes. And so I just want to let you know that we are listening to you and we are going to work together as a team and with Corey. And I'm going to
that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
that we are going to work together as a team and that we are listening to you.
We appreciate that and we look forward to open communication lines with everybody.
Yes, and I'm going to set up meetings for you because we decided on something like that. So thank you for being here. Yeah.
Alders, can you just explain quickly what transpired that led to the last minute changes?
It was, well, a couple of things happened with this most recent one. The morning of buses, for some reason the computers over at dispatch did not update to the new route. So operators were being dispatched out like on the Highway 17 express route to the wrong places, the wrong times. So IT came over and was able to resolve that. The other piece was there was miscommunication between where certain routes were going to be picked up or dropped off between Area 2 and Area 3. We had conflicting information on that, so it caused confusion between the operators and between the public on there. And they're minor things, but they become big things, right? So that's what we want to try to alleviate, is that even the small errors that come into play that can affect everybody's trips. So we've talked about the goal, has been to try to implement as much of Reimagine Metro service as we can. I think we're at a point now where we've maxed out what we can do. So we're going to leave things alone for a while, right? And let them ride so we can see how the ridership, if we see ridership gains from that, we won't know unless we watch it for 6 months or a year to really be able to tell.
Okay, so just to be clear, these were not intentional changes made after the Spark meeting by any individual or group of people.
Well, I guess there were minor tweaks, and so we're gonna stop with the minor tweaks. That's, I guess, the easy way to put it.
Great, well, and minor tweaks and also catch errors before they happen. Great, appreciate the focus from this. If there's no other comments, we'll proceed with the consent agenda. Are there any comments or questions? Directors on the consent agenda? Are there any member of the public that wishes to address us on the consent agenda? All right, I'll turn to the board for action. Call that a motion by Martinez and a second by Director Lynn. All those in favor, I guess we need to, well, Director Richardson's not a voting member, so can we?
Yeah, I agree. Because, we have an ex officio on the conference line, I think you can continue to do a voice vote and not a roll call vote.
Great, thanks. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Extensions? Motion passes unanimously. I'll proceed with item 10, retiree resolution of appreciation for Cindy Farrell, bus operator. Cindy here? Right. Well, we are, Cindy has served as a member of the Operations Department of Metro for time period of July 29th, 2019 to September 9th, 2025. And we're extremely grateful for her service. The service provided to the residents of Santa Cruz County by Cindy Farrell resulted in reliable, quality public transportation being available in the most difficult of times. And Ms. Farrell's service, through her service, Metro has improved existing and built new operating facilities, converted the fleet to a CNG propulsion system, developed accessible bus stops, improved ridership, responded to adverse economic conditions, assumed direct operational responsibility for the Highway 17 Express service and the Amtrak Connector service, and assumed direct operational responsibility for the Paracruz service. And so we'd like to issue her this resolution of appreciation. I believe we, any comments from the public on this item? Comments from board members? Do you need a motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Motion by Director Lind, second by Director Orbach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. We'll proceed with item 11, hydrogen vehicle and hydrogen fueler update from our Chief Operations Officer, Margot Ross.
Morning, everybody. Margot Ross, Chief Operations Officer. So I wanted to bring you guys an update on our hydrogen vehicles and our hydrogen fuelers. So we've received 43 of our 44 40-footers. I was off by one. We've also accepted 23 of our New Flyer vehicles. The Center for Transportation and Environment, CTE, is our contractor, and they do a lot of analysis for us regarding our fuel intake, our miles per gallon, and how many miles our vehicles run. So they did a validation testing the week of August 11th, and they simulated routes Highway 17, routes 1 and 2, and routes 35. So it was kind of interesting because we couldn't put passengers on the bus. They used sandbags. They actually put sandbags on the bus to simulate people. And then at some point they removed the sandbags to simulate empty vehicles. So they tested the mileage, the range. They tested the response to weight, temperature fluctuation. So what they did is they turned the air conditioner all the way up, or they turned the heat all the way up, or turn it down, vice versa. And we actually have some preliminary results, which I think are awesome. So currently, the hydrogen buses are doing 9.79 miles per kilogram. They're running, the highest they've ran is 200 miles, which is really good for these vehicles. All of our operators have been trained on the vehicles. We have 7 buses in service, and in the next few weeks, 3 more will be put into service. As far as round trips, CTE's analysis said we could do 3. We're kind of cautious in the beginning where we only did 2 round trips on Highway 17, Highway 1 and 2, but currently we are looking at kind of implementing doing 3 round trips for the hydrogen vehicles. And I think the biggest thing is that the operators are liking the vehicles. There's your new wraps for the hydrogen vehicles, but we've heard nothing but positive feedback regarding the vehicles. I always say it's the operator's workstation, so they seem to really enjoy them. So in December, we should receive our test articulated vehicle. That's our 60-foot vehicle. And then between February and April, we'll be receiving the rest of our vehicles. The Arctic vehicles are used on UCSC routes. My plan is to have CTE certainly test them before they go out. Again, with the high sandbags and with different fluctuation in the heat and air conditioning. Currently, to fuel our vehicles, we are using a mobile hydrogen fueler. It was commissioned in April of 2025. We were able to fuel 10 vehicles at that time pretty rapidly without a glitch. It took between 3 and 6 minutes to fuel the vehicles, which is kind of unheard of. We also heard from our neighbors that the venting was an issue. So we worked with Plug Fueler to make sure that the venting doesn't happen between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. So what happens is once the vehicle is fueled, it vents and the venting shuts down 2 hours after the fueling. So we are very strategic in when we complete the fueling, usually between 6:30, before 6:30 p.m. And that way we kind of hit our target. And if they have to go over to 6:30, they still have a little bit of time for the port to vent. So once the permanent station is built, the mobile fueling station will be moved over to Watsonville. And lastly, our permanent hydrogen station, we signed the contract with Messer in April 2025. Messer has provided 90% of the designs for the permanent station. Construction begins in October 2025. Kind of hardcore construction will begin in November, where we'll actually see boots on the ground. And it's scheduled to be completed in the spring of 2026. We are diligently working with Messer. We met with them yesterday. They are also working with the city to make sure to mitigate any issues with noise. We realize now that, that was a problem. So we're working really hard to be good neighbors. With that, does anyone have any questions?
Ross, present to the board.
Thank you for the presentation and for your work on the noise issue. I know we've been in touch about that. Do we know that the permanent station will be less noisy? What has Messer said about?
It will be noisy. We just don't know the decimal. And that's why we're kind of getting ahead of it.
Because the temporary one, as you know, is not meeting the city's noise ordinance standards. And
that's what they've said.
Yeah. The city hasn't gone out and checked it, but neighbors who come out have said that it's above the decibel allowed for in the city's noise ordinance. So hopefully the permanent one won't have the same issue, but we don't know.
We don't know, but we're going to mitigate that. And what I didn't say about the mobile fueler is in the next few weeks, we'll have the silencer that will reduce the noise considerably so that when it does vent, no one will hear it.
Do we know if we'll need a silencer for the permanent one?
And that's the question we're asking Messer. If it's
Okay.
a silencer or some mitigation to reduce the noise.
Cause I know that it's been taking some time to obtain the silent temporary one, so I'm just wondering if we can, get ahead of it and
Oh, yeah, that's,
actually order a silencer for the permanent one.
yes, that's my plan. That's what I've asked Messer to do, that we kind of walk hand in hand when we build the permit station, that we have the silencer before we even start.
Started. Wonderful.
And so the mobile fueler silencer was delayed because of parts. And then also it does a weird round trip from California, Houston back to California. So I'm talking about taking a long way home. But yeah, so we hope not to make that same mistake again. And my thought is, if we don't have a silencer or something to mitigate the noise, then we're not gonna certainly impose on our neighbors and turn on the permanent.
Thank you. Thanks for your work on this.
Any questions, from the board? Deirdre?
Thank you, Margaret, for that presentation, and thank you for your hard work in this organization. A few questions. One is, are any of the wraps South County images?
I don't know. Yes, I don't know what we're looking at.
Okay, so are those new wraps, I guess?
Are new wraps, yes, we're looking for new images for the other wraps, which will include a South County of that.
Okay, so just want to make sure that we're being inclusive of the entire county.
Completely, yes, it's just very hard to find the right specs and imagery for photographs, so I'm pretty limited, but if you happen to know a photographer that focuses on South County, I'd love to talk.
Yeah, actually, just you can talk to Tarmo probably. I mean, I've been photographing South County
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
for years.
Yeah.
I can definitely direct you and probably places where you can, that are iconic for Watsonville. I mean, our plaza's one, so, but you can definitely, that's probably, maybe connect with him and he can guide you.
No problem.
When do you expect for the mobile fueling station to go to Watsonville?
When we put the permanent one online next year in the spring.
Spring, okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Oh,
morning.
sorry.
It's okay. You rush out again. Hopefully it's not too hard to scare you away. It has to do with just kind of the fuel costs.
Mhm.
Now that we're getting a sense of, actually fueling these vehicles, have we learned anything about the ongoing cost, how it compares to our other buses, what we anticipate?
So I just sent Chuck over some analysis, but it's $11.65 a kilogram. And the CNG is approximately $2 per kilogram. So there is a cost increase. But the hydrogen will purchase to make the county cleaner, right? To make California cleaner. So there is a cost to having clean fuel. And we're working on analysis. I just sent it over to Chuck, and we'll be doing some comparisons, and also what the real costs are between the lost of fuel and then actually, what we put in our tank.
Thank you.
And that brings up, I know some of us have been contacted by Representative suggesting batteries, and why did we leave the battery buses? I asked Corey Aldridge, but since that question's coming up, can you address some of the difficulties in staying with the batteries for Terrell?
So my nightmare as a COO is that PG&E cuts us off, right? That we have 53 electric vehicles and we can't get out the yard because we can't charge them. So that's my nightmare. And then also we don't have a whole lot of space. Our yard is very small. So we figured we'd have to figure out where to put the chargers. Right now we have 6 chargers. We're very limited. We'd have to look at very expensive alternatives for battery. And then, as you guys are aware, Cortera just didn't do a good job with building the buses.
So I understand correctly that you can't get software updates because Terrell basically went out of business.
Correct. we did have a conversation with the new CEO for Phoenix, which purchased Proterra. And I don't think in the long run, they'll be able to update our software or give us any parts for the current Proterras we do own. So, there are a lot of agencies weighing whether they go hydrogen or electric. But for us, we're just so limited in space.
Well, we had 60 buses to replace. We had to make a decision by faster than some.
Correct.
There was also the payload capacity or basically the ability to carry a lot of passengers up hills.
I was
Considered.
17.
Yeah, both 17
Highway
and
9.
the UC. Yeah, go ahead, Director
Yes.
Leonore.
So thank you for the presentation. Margot, I saw the survey that came out just recently about the overflow parking in Watsonville. Right? So my question is, how can we get that survey out to South County community that can actually take the survey and have input on what's happening with that overflow station?
So Danielle, can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, so we did go to Watsonville downtown businesses and distribute flyers that link to the QR code. And then it's also hard copies are at Watsonville Transit Center and it's posted online.
Okay, thank you, because I haven't seen them, so I guess I gotta look around downtown and see if I can see any, because I would like to have some that just,
Yeah, we can definitely get you.
because I could work with also the nonprofit that I work with and distribute some of this information, because our South County community.
Some people are not hearing that conversation. I'm seeing.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
our South County community needs to know this, what's happening with the overflow, and also with what's happening here with the sound. Is that gonna move to Watsonville and people are gonna be complaining to Watson?
Well, the facility in Watsonville is surrounded by Martinelli's and waste management.
Yeah,
But this,
but we have a loaning street.
right, but the
Oh,
silencer will go with that. We don't want to disturb our neighbors.
Yeah.
It was, something we kind of oversight on our part.
But thank you for putting that out and including our South County people to have some input on what's happening here.
Great suggestion that maybe this round and future rounds, when there are surveys, connecting with us board of directors. Because we may know some good places to make sure people have access to it and their voices are heard, yeah. It's sure that.
Chamber of Commerce, all of them. One.
One quick question on the fuel cost. You said it's $11.69 a kilogram for hydrogen versus $2 a kilogram for or so. But I think the fuel or the energy density is about twice as much, so maybe we need half as much hydrogen in them.
Correct.
So it's only 3 times as much. That's good. But does anyone know if, I mean, I haven't heard that Arches has been canceled, so maybe that means it's moving forward. I don't have any information on that.
Just received an email, kind of saying from Arches that the federal government is being the federal government. They are looking at the state to provide some sort of funding and support for hydrogen.
Does the federal government mean slow or canceled?
Non-reactive. They haven't received any funds from the federal government at all.
All right, well, fingers crossed that continues to move forward.
Sorry, just hold on. And I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up, but I don't know if there should be like a further conversation about like maybe the direction of where we go with our buses, whether it's electric or hydrogen, because I know I'm getting a lot of like pushback down in South County because of this proposed battery facility they want to put in. So you know, as we're continuing to move forward, you know, you can't put out a battery bus with water, you know, and so and a lot of our fire departments, they're not equipped to deal with these kind of issues. So I think we need to think about the big picture, because have we had one catch on fire? I'm not even gonna say yet.
No,
because,
no.
but you know, I mean, that'll be a whole different story. So I don't know. I think that now that you know, many years ago it sounded great. Let's move battery. We're learning that, you know, they're not moving as fast. You know, they can't get up hills. You know, they catch on fire. It's kind of hard. You have to let them burn out. Like, I don't know, I just think there might need to be a bigger conversation about what kind of sustainable and clean energy we want to use in our buses moving forward.
Certainly a discussion with Corey as to their next set of vehicles we want to purchase.
Do we have any comments from the public on this item?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
if I could just ask a quick question. Margaret, I appreciate the update. It's great to see the progress. Do you have a schedule for when the 44 buses will be fully in service? And a second question, I guess, is will there be a one-for-one retirement of the existing unreliable buses as these do come into service?
So we, as I said, we accepted 23. We just got word from CTE that our mobile fueler can fuel 20. So in the next few months, we'll certainly attempt to put 20 in service. It is basically a one-for-one. So our grant process was a little complicated. In fact, that we have to retire our buses to receive money from the Volkswagen grant. We have each PIP money as well. So basically, yes, it is a one-for-one. The diesel buses will be gone. But it's a delicate balance and trying to maintain service and put out new vehicles and make sure we serve the public.
Right. I asked in part because looking at the KPIs that were on the consent agenda, there's significant amount of missed service due to lack of vehicle availability, and the mean distance between failure has been dropping. So it seems like getting those old buses out will hopefully help
Yeah.
the service. But so did I understand that within the next few months, the 20 would be fully in service? So in the new year, we should have 20 hydrogen buses in service?
Yes, if it all goes well, if the vehicles, will react like they have been, we should have them in service.
And does that include any of the Arctics?
No, the Arctics, we won't receive our test bus until December. And then, as I said, we will have CTE do analysis of it, and we'll certainly have to put it through its paces before it goes into service.
Thank you.
And does that mean that we're starting to turn in some of the diesel buses and drill holes and engine blocks? And we're counting to 3 and going to 6? And
So I believe we have 3 at
We only have one of them there, and we have already 2 more to be able to be taken there. So we'll have 3 at the dismantler in Castro. So they will drill a hole in the block and dismantle the bus.
we're a little bit ahead of schedule as far as our line of credit, and we're not having to spend as much on borrowing while we wait to redeem those vehicles. Any members of the public have questions on this item? All right, this is just an informational item. Thank you, COO Ross, for the update. We'll proceed with our facilities master plan update from Chief Planning and Innovation Officer, John Urgo. Good morning, directors. Oh, and I just want to acknowledge that Director Downing has joined online. Do we need the AB 2447 or 49? Oh, is this Just Cause?
Yes, I'm participating remotely today for Just Cause due to caregiving responsibilities.
Okay, so just the announcements, all we need.
Okay.
Before I roll into this, I'd like to make a very brief comment related to a previous item. That's okay.
Go ahead.
I think we have new board members and new drivers, but I think it bears remembering that this board passed the Reimagine Metro Service changes in fall of 2023 in 2 phases, fall of 2023 and spring of 2024. After 18 months of public outreach, 3 rounds, lots of meetings, lots of board presentations, meeting with operators. There are certainly ways that we can improve that process and the communication and kind of carrying that institutional memory, if you will, through. I agree, we've kind of dropped the ball on how we started and where we are now, but the service changes that we've been implementing have been in service to that plan. Ridership has increased 40% in the 2 years since we started. We should finish this year at pre-COVID levels of ridership, which would make us one of the few transit agencies in the country that is at that now. So, again, we're working to improve the process and the communication for everyone, external, internal. But I just wanted to, I think it bears remembering how long this process has been and how we carried on. So facilities master plan. In a minute, I'm going to introduce Edgar Torres from Kimley Horn to present the slides and an update on our facilities master plan, which began in earnest early last year as a comprehensive review of all of our operations and maintenance facilities. And this effort was driven by a long-term goal for service expansion, ridership growth, and our transition to a zero-emission fleet. As our service needs have grown, partially through Reimagine Metro, our existing facilities have reached their functional limits. We're just maxed out in a lot of areas. And so it has forced us to look outside of our current facilities and evaluate options for expansion. So the facilities master plan is investigating a range of alternatives to increase our operations and maintenance capacity. This includes evaluating improvements to existing facilities, as well as the potential development of new facilities in South County. Watsonville remains a strategic focus area as many of Metro's routes originate there. And the absence of facility in South County contributes to increased fuel consumption, traffic congestion, emissions, cost inefficiencies, and service delays. So concurrent with this analysis, we're doing a Title VI equity analysis, which is required in the planning process phases. Public engagement activities are underway. There's a community survey that's been live for a few months now. It'll remain live through around the middle of October, and then we'll bring the results back to the board next month. And with that, I think I will just turn it over to Edgar to run through the presentation.
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Edgar Torres with Kinley Horn & Associates. I am the project manager on behalf of the consultant team and here to present the information item regarding the facilities master plan. For today's agenda, we have 6 items that we'd like to go over with you. First is the project background as to what led to the facilities master plan, a needs assessment overview, expansion of opportunities associated with the items that have been identified and shared, and the phasing approach for the potential facilities master plan, the Title VI analysis associated with the plan, and finally, next steps. Regarding the project background, as you've heard and you're aware, the Reimagine Metro proposed substitute growth of service and includes a transition to zero emission vehicles and infrastructure to support those vehicles and service. The facilities master plan in particular evaluates the facility needs and examines the range of options at the main campus at River Street within the city of Santa Cruz and around the county to be able to understand again how the services can be deployed with the supporting infrastructure. And this project will identify a funding and phasing strategy to achieve the agency's long-term goals and objectives. With regards to the objectives for the facilities master plan, there are several, and here are the key ones. Optimize efficiency and service quality so that is provided to the constituents. Support the integration of the new hydrogen fuel cell fleet, as you've heard in the update today. Maintaining the new and contingency fleet, so not just the fleet that you're receiving, but a contingency fleet to be able to support in case any vehicle or unreliable vehicle goes out of service. Leveraging existing infrastructure such that it is, again, effective use of the existing assets and future funding sources. Supporting staff training for safe transition to zero emissions. Enabling fleet resiliency and flexibility such that the service is put out and deployed for the customers. And maximizing grant funding opportunities wherever possible. For the process in developing the facilities master plan, there were 3 key stages. First is the baseline assessment, understanding how things work directly from management, staff, and operators. Developing a review of existing materials from the great work that's been done by Metro in the past. Site walks at many of the sites across Metro's assets. And then staff interviews to be able to understand directly what are the key things that are being experienced with the facilities. And finally, a deadhead analysis. In other words, how far or how many miles are utilized for vehicles not in service. In other words, going from the base to the point of starting their service. That's known as a deadhead. The second phase was needs assessment and space programming. In this case, it is looking at the facilities, what their needs are, how that is based with the interviews provided by staff management, be able to handle the space needs, and let's do preliminary site prototype to see what can fit within that space. And finally, the funding and implementation plan. If there are any new facilities or consideration of new facilities, that would be under a Title VI analysis, capital and O&M costs, and then finally a phasing strategy for deploying the facilities master plan. Into the needs assessment, really understanding the long-term needs helps to be able to set a goalpost or a guidepost for what is needed in terms of infrastructure. So the first is the anticipated future fleet needs. So showing here is 109 40-foot buses, of which 44 would be hydrogen, one pending, 9 electrics, 46 CNG, and 10 diesel hybrid electrics, of which now that's going to be transitioning. The 13 60-foot articulated buses, 9 of which are hydrogen or CNG, or at least envisioned as part of the plan at the beginning. There are 34 Cruz vehicles, 38 non-revenue vehicles, and finally 324 spaces of employee parking. The infrastructure needs was focused on modernizing the operations facility, making sure that there's facilities maintenance to be able to handle redundancy and be able to address maintenance needs for the existing and future fleet, enhancing employee circulation, in other words, being able to provide safe connections between the various facilities along River Street for staff to be able to go between the facilities. Resiliency in the utility infrastructure, as Margot mentioned, being able to have electrical power for buses, also being able to have safe delivery for hydrogen fuel. Additional fueling options such that there is redundancy and be able to provide, support for that fueling. And finally, potential relocation of Cruz operations from its existing facility to a new home, either within existing Metro facilities or a new facility. A brief overview of the existing, what we're calling River Street campus of JKS operations and the Gulf Maintenance Facility, just to the south of you. And so the intention is to maximize the existing site opportunity and be able to improve bus circulation, bus parking, and be able to improve the pedestrian connection between the facilities for staff, being able to go back and forth as there are training facilities at JKS to be able to, again, access these facilities that are made available, be able to have additional fueling options, and then be able to modify vehicle parking to be able to maximize the footprint in light of both the temporary fueler that's there today and the permanent fueler that is anticipated. The key results of our assessment with staff is that there is insufficient space to be able to meet the needs of Metro, both to be able to provide parts of service and staff needs. And there's no clear expansion opportunities as this is a tight space that's surrounding the two facilities today. So in order to be able to provide that additional space, it was exploring expansion opportunities. And to be able to identify where the expansion opportunities can take place, we asked the question as to where are the current deadhead miles or essentially unutilized miles. They're miles to be able to travel from the base to the transit center or to their start or their route. And as well at the end of the route, at the end of the day, end of the shift, traveling back with that bus back to base. And so we evaluated where the existing deadhead miles are occurring from the River Street campus to those locations. And Watsonville Transit Center is immediately identified as having the highest number of deadhead miles, or in other words, non-revenue miles, over 49 pull-ins and pull-outs. So if there is a facility, in this case, a Watsonville facility for service, this would immediately reduce non-revenue miles and provide an immediate savings to Metro. It would reduce emissions of those vehicles going from base to their starting point of the route, including wear and tear on local roadways. It would relieve capacity at JKS and Gulf and provide over $500,000 in annual savings for non-labor cost per mile. Correction, that's $500,000 savings overall based on non-labor costs. So Watsonville facility, it would function for operator and staff support space. It would provide preventative maintenance and repair, storage for the fleet, and then be able to also include charging and fueling of hydrogen and battery electric buses in the long term. And then 141 parking space staff as part of that potential facility. So to be able to understand how much space a facility may need, we looked at a program, preliminary program and site sizing of a said Watsonville facility, given Metro's experience with JKS and Gulf. And so on the left is a diagram showing proportionality of an overall space and then how much would be needed for each function, whether it's a bus parking, employee parking, maintenance facility, bus wash, fueling, and understanding what that would mean relative to a site that would require circulation for buses, setbacks per city or county requirements, and landscaping. So the key site needs is to look for locations that have access to major roadways in order for those buses to be able to deploy efficiently. Second is adequate sizing of the parcel to have at least 3¼ acres. Compatible zoning with the use of this being a operations and maintenance facility. Utility access, as there would be higher demand for electrical with electric bus charging. And finally, truck access for hydrogen fuel deliveries, as those are deliveries made to be able to recharge or refuel the tanks. As part of the Watsonville facility search, we looked at a large area to be able to understand, again, applying those key factors and see what sites could come up. And one of the key things is that we looked at several sites, and that is part of the assessment. There is an existing lease site at 809 West Beach Street, in which case this is where it's the interim bus storage and security improvements. This has been improvements that are planned and are being executed as part of short-term improvements in the Watsonville area. And so that's the 809 West Beach Street. This includes power and communication upgrades, pavement rehabilitation such that the buses are able to maneuver in that space and be able to minimize impacts on those vehicles, signing and striping, overhead lighting, perimeter fencing and security to ensure the assets are protected, portable trailer for bathrooms. That's a future improvement if as services are deployed, if they're deployed in the short term. And then relocating the temporary hydrogen fueler trailer once a permanent fueler has been commissioned at JKS. And improvements of this are funded through state and state of good repair grants. The phasing approach for some of these improvements, and going to summarize a few of these here and then go into a little bit more detail for each of these. For the Watsonville facilities, being able to provide a facility in South County that would help reduce the deadhead miles and reduce that or realize that annual savings from reduction in deadhead miles. In the JKS site, it is having that permanent hydrogen fueler, being able to do those improvements for battery electric buses, as well as preparing some site circulation improvements or after the permanent fueler, as well as circulation for pedestrians, or in this case staff, between the Gulf and JKS sites. And finally, as part of a long-term for JKS and Gulf is looking at opportunities to be able to underground overhead utilities and construct civil improvements. There is currently overhead electrical on the east side of River Street, and there is an opportunity to be able to further improve the flexibility of the site and utilization for Metro with that undergrounding. And then for Cruz, we're looking at two options. One is planning the study to evaluate the potential relocation of Cruz operations that has been previously considered by the board, and be able to relocate that to operations to a new Cruz site in the midterm. For the Watsonville site, the three phases are first to utilize it as an overflow and secondary hydrogen fueling location with a temporary fueler, to be able to secure grants for constructing and funding of a new facility, and to be able to then design that new facility to be able to allow for a satellite facility at Watsonville. To be able to complete the infrastructure and initiate limited operations in the midterm, and further realize those deadhead savings. And then in the long term, expand operations and relocate key staff from existing JKS and Gulf facilities to a new Watsonville facility. For JKS operations, it's to install that permanent hydrogen fueler as presented by Ms. Ross, be able to add BEV and employee EV chargers, and develop TDM strategies for staff. In other words, being able to provide more options for staff to be able to access JKS. And in the midterm, be able to finalize surface lots retrofits as the permanent fueler is completed, be able to enhance the operations of the facility as, again, maturity of the new fleet is better understood, and be able to operate and be able to then improve that site circulation. And then long-term, looking at exploring undergrounding the utilities for that site flexibility. At Gulf Maintenance Facility, it is to prepare the site for potential grading, retaining walls, and entrance improvements. And this would be at the south side and on the east side on River Street, where there could be opportunities for connecting, providing the pedestrian improvements between Gulf and JKS. And then in the midterm, make those improvements, as those are improvements would be made within Caltrans facility. That's State Route 9. And finally, long-term, be able to construct maintenance bays for articulated buses, be able to rebuild the Gulf Drive entrances, and then be able to evaluate acquisition for future facility expansion as that is made possible. For Cruz, as I mentioned, is evaluate the potential relocation of Cruz operations facility as previously considered, and be able to relocate to a new facility as the board so chooses. For cost consideration, there's several factors here that just to highlight quickly. The Watsonville facility is a new facility in South County, which would require additional funding or federal funding and state funding. It will help with realizing, as I mentioned, $500,000 in savings and non-labor costs annually. Improvements at JKS and Gulf would be approximately $3.5 million, and then pedestrian improvements between the two facilities, a Cruz facility at $5 million, and finally contingency and soft costs to be able to account for cost escalation and other services needed. In terms of funding opportunities, there are two discretionary opportunities with the federal government. That's the Bus and Bus Facilities Competitive Program and low and no emission vehicle program, or the low-no program. There's also formula funds, 5307 Urbanized Area Formula Program that could also be utilized. And finally, in terms of state and local funding, there is the State Transit Assistance, SB1 State of Good Repair, as well as the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program, also known as TRSA. With regards to exploring a new facility in Watsonville, in the Watsonville area, there was a Title VI equity analysis. It is required to be done per the Federal Transit Administration. It addresses the equitable distribution of benefits and burdens of new operations and maintenance facility, and it identifies mitigations if mitigations are needed. And as part of that equity analysis, there's ongoing engagement with regards to the potential facility and be able to have that information on the website through stakeholder outreach. Surveys that is John mentioned is currently live and will remain live through mid-October, and social media and flyers for that ongoing engagement. And with that, and we will come back to the board next month to share the results of the survey. With that, I open up to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Are there questions from? Oh, sorry.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you for that presentation. I remember back in the day, we owned the Sakata Lane property. It was the biggest mistake I think the board made by selling it, in my opinion, because we're now having to buy another piece of property. So big mistake. But we live and we learn. On the funding levels for the like low-no and bus facilities, has that changed under the Trump administration, or are the funding levels pretty much the same?
Certainly the outlook has changed. When we began this process in 2023, 2024, we were more optimistic about potentially receiving low-no funding, discretionary funding in the future. We're much less optimistic about that happening now. In terms of specific funding, that current levels have not changed because the current authorization bill is through 2026, but they likely will in the future, but it's unknown at this point.
So we have about one more year of the current levels. When was the last time we were successful in getting one of those two low?
We received the low-no for the hydrogen bus purchase in 2023.
Okay, so we could be due for another one soon, so.
It could be.
Yeah. I mean, I know.
We'll apply. I mean, we're definitely, the whole impetus of this was to prepare a strong application.
Yeah.
Apply for a.
I know they're not unlikely to give it back to back here, so I mean, it's been
a few cycles.
Yeah, a few cycles. Okay, and then that's it. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation and the work. I'm looking at 98 million. What's the plan for prioritization as we go for grants? Like, how are we thinking about what do we apply for which project? Obviously, the 48 million is big price tag. I imagine we're gonna have to stitch together different sources of funding. So how are we thinking about that as we're looking at grants and going for grants?
Yeah, I mean, the whole effort can be summarized as we're out of space, right? That's what's driving this whole thing. So prioritizing how we meet the space need, both in terms of like parking vehicles and also maintaining vehicles. So I mean, we haven't really discussed strategy at this point, but I would almost say that given the constraints that we faced in rolling out Reimagine Metro, our maintenance needs might be rising to priority given how the outlook has changed in the short term around funding a South County facility. Although there are state sources, TIRSA, we could apply for as well. So, this is the first time we're bringing this report to you. I think the strategy is now the next piece.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, we thought this was going to tee us up to do a, application for a low-no grant for the South County facility. We have addressed some of the space needs by leasing that facility at Beach, or leasing a facility at Beach. So now that we can kind of have room to park buses and overflow, I mean, you probably saw it when you come in or when you leave, we now have a hydrogen facility in the middle of our yard. We've added buses as we've tried to meet Reimagine Metro. We're just out of space. But in the short term, the Beach lot helps with that. But it doesn't provide fueling, it doesn't provide maintenance. And it doesn't address the deadhead issue, which I hope is clear. That's kind of one of the main things is, right, most of our service originates in Watsonville in the morning, comes to Santa Cruz, and all of those buses go south first, not in service. And that's why all of those deadhead miles, out of service miles add up throughout the day. And it's a significant cost in fuel, time, and labor.
And one follow-up question. Do we know what kind of match requirements some of these grants we're looking at will have, and do we have plan for local match?
Lono is 20%, right? 15-20% typically.
Depending on, I guess, rolling stock or.
Yeah.
100% of it's building.
I don't know, check. We're not that far along that we've identified specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're not, I mean,
I'm jumping.
Metro's not looking to put 98 million, right? We need significant federal funding to pull this off. But typically it's 15 and 20% in the range.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a follow-up to Councilor Johnson's questions. You've sort of phased it like short, medium, long term. Long term's only gonna get more expensive, right? So do you have a sense really in the here and now to meet the priorities that you have now, what costs you or what needs you have, like what that will cost and what money you're looking for?
The immediate needs, I would say, and Ray Chuck can jump in, are partially being met through the lease that the board approved of the beach facility, just to have space for buses. And potentially in the future, maybe to dispatch some buses out there, though we've not really begun that conversation. I think the next immediate need is the maintenance facility, and part of that is actually going to be met through the hydrogen upgrade. So we have a component in our TRSA award for hydrogen maintenance facility upgrades. It doesn't add more space, it doesn't add more capacity, but it does kind of upgrade the facility in order to work on the hydrogen buses. So I'm dancing around.
Yeah, is that the full 48 million? Is that like?
No, the 48 million is, I don't want to say an aspirational goal, but yeah, that would truly help us meet our needs, but we're making do currently, hanging on, I guess, is how you might characterize it. But leasing the beach, that lot is a huge deal to help with just bus parking and storage. Yeah, the 48 million is like, brand spanking new facility. Wouldn't say that is the like desperate need right now for us, but jump in if you guys disagree elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the analysis, you have to start with this.
Yeah.
To then start looking at, where you go from here. So I appreciate it.
Just a simple question. The relocation of Cruz, why the change, why relocation of Cruz? I've seen the facilities. And to me, they seem like a good facility for our drivers and our vehicles. Why relocating? Why was this brought up in this?
I'm gonna ask someone else to answer the Pericles question, but from what I understand, it's a leased facility. We don't own it. So as we did this analysis where we're looking at, could we fit and move that to a new facility? Should we build one up from the ground? But I don't think there's an immediate driving need for that, but if
No,
we do have it.
and that's why, because we lease the facility.
I think you also have some flooding issues.
Oh, there is?
I believe there is flooding issues there. Not ideal. We can operate it, but.
There's sandbags.
Yeah.
Oh,
Lots of sandbags.
I didn't see that. I thought it was really great space for our drivers to come in after a long day of driving, come and just relax and shoot some hoops.
During the summer, that's.
Yeah.
So in addition to the savings of 500,000 annually, it has to wear also, add to the drivers having to sit in traffic and go, to Westville to start. So, I can see more benefits. 500,000 a year is significant as it is. But anything I think we can do to start getting some transition done once we get fueling and be able to do something, I think would take. I'm thinking relieve a lot of the stress too for the drivers who are driving here, many from South County, grabbing the bus and driving back to South County. And, that I think just the efficiency of that makes a lot of sense. And having seen the site and having been able to take the tour down there, it really looks like it's going to be an ideal location for us. So.
Yeah, the 500,000 annual is bus fuel maintenance and operator labor. we also did an analysis of where employees are commuting from. And of course, many are coming from South County, and so this would shorten their commute substantially. They wouldn't have to come all the way up north, drive a bus back south. If we can start dispatching service from us. So there are definitely quality of life benefits that are more intangible that we actually have calculated, but it's not in the wasn't in the slides, but it's also important.
However, we can support, so.
Yeah, thank you for the report. I think it was great. I think it's good to have a strategic plan, a vision for the future, and this makes a lot of sense. Like you said, like Donna highlighted, in terms of quality of life for many of our employers and employees, not having to commute, not having to sit through that traffic to start work. I think that is really, really key.
So yeah, we're just asking you to accept the report today, was setting the stage for hopefully future successful grant applications and funding.
And I want to clarify, I think we actually have closed on the Beach Street facility.
We did,
right?
so a couple weeks ago. So we own it now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Which leads to my next question, which is, I mean, and I think Director Martinez is kind of getting at this. It's like, what's kind of the marginal utility of the various investments and how big are those each? I mean, it seems like we need to resurface right, just so that we're not adding extra wear and tear on our buses. That is maybe the first and, you know, of all the improvements cheapest, and then maybe additional fueling and utilities. We're gonna have the hydrogen fueler, but we probably want to fuel all our buses or all types of buses down there. Then maybe maintenance and operations. I mean, is there like,
I think that's what you've laid out is pretty much thinking of the strategy forward for us. But again, we were just presenting the report today. We'll come back with strategic marginal investment.
yeah, I mean, just the fueling, do we have a sense of like, or resurfacing and fueling, like is that?
Yeah, that is being looked at. Freddie or Chuck, do you want to speak to that item? Resurfacing beach and maybe in the future transferring the mobile fueler down there?
Yeah, currently the plans are in process to transfer the cooler to Watsonville. So we're gonna hold off on the permanent station. Once we feel it's reliable, then we'll get that moving there. And then we'll as a team, we'll gather up and see if there's any operations that we can actually start from Watsonville. And having the permanent fueler over there, see maybe we can fuel some buses and like I said, that's still in the planning state, that's feasible. So, and I mean, it would be ideal if we can temporarily start some vehicles from Watsonville and reduce some of the dead miles at the beginning. So that is a possibility that we're actually exploring.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Director Downing.
Yeah, I just had a question about sort of the human resources component of this. Have you studied anything about employee retention or recruiting improvements by relocating the Watsonville facility or reestablishing the Watsonville facility? Has that been looked at yet, or are we not there?
Director Downing, we've studied again the home addresses of operators and other employees that would be potentially working out of this facility. And so we kind of have a sense of how many would be impacted and how much shorter their commutes would be. We haven't delved farther into that. We can just kind of assume that there would be a significant quality of life benefit to shortening that commute, not having to deal with the highway wind traffic. But in terms of hard numbers, we haven't done that yet.
I would think it just is going to improve retention and make it easier to recruit people from that area. Some of them are be able to work there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No other questions or comments from board members? Any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay. None. Thank you very much. Thank you. And it's just informational items. So we'll move on to the CEO's oral report.
So as we all know now, we were able to purchase the Watsonville property a few weeks ago. I thank our CFO Chuck for his hard work on that, and for the rest of the team that worked on making that happen in such a short time. We have some events coming up or happened and coming up. On August 27th, we had the employee health fair. We had over 100 employees that participated in this year's health fair. The event supports Metro's ongoing wellness initiatives by encouraging employees' engagement in health and well-being. Metro again provided free fares to the county fair. That was September 10th to the 14th by providing over 1,000 rides and trips to the fairgrounds. Metro's One Ride at a Time program was honored with the Adwheel Grand Award during the Apt to Transform conference. This prestigious recognition highlights our commitment to excellence in marketing and communications within public transportation. Today is National Human Resources Appreciation Day. We want to recognize and celebrate our human resources team for their vital contributions to Metro's success, from recruitment and retention to employee engagement, labor relations, and wellness programs. Our HR professionals work diligently behind the scenes to ensure our workforce is supported, respected, and empowered, while also keeping Metro compliant and competitive. So we sincerely appreciate their dedication. Metro, the Santa Cruz County Department of Community Development and Infrastructure, and the Community Traffic Safety Coalition are hosting the inaugural Week Without Driving campaign, September 29th to October 5th, to encourage participants to experience life without a personal vehicle, mirroring the daily reality of nearly 30% of Americans who walk, bike, carpool, or rely on public transit. We hope the campaign will spark long-term conversations about transportation equity, infrastructure investment, and inclusive mobility. Residents are encouraged to share their experiences, connect with local officials, and explore alternatives to driving that benefit the entire community. To kick off the campaign, Metro and our county partners are hosting a community celebration held at Capitola Mall on Tuesday, September 30th from 11 to 3 p.m. This event will include an informational booth, interactive activities, and an opportunity to hear from local elected officials and county agencies. There will be 2 speaking slots during the event at 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Additionally, to support the Week Without Driving, the cities of Scotts Valley and Watsonville have organized ride-alongs with local officials on board Metro routes to experience transit firsthand and interact with riders. We thank everyone for supporting this campaign and look forward to your participation next week. October 1st is California Clean Air Day. Metro has once again pledged to participate in this event that coincides with a Week Without Driving by offering free fares countywide on Wednesday, October 1st, to encourage the use of public transit in reducing air pollution. If you haven't taken your own Clean Air Day pledge yet, we encourage you to do so by visiting our website. On California Clean Air Day, Metro will also be participating in UCSC's Sustainable Transportation Fair from 11 to 2 p.m. to promote sustainable transit options. On October 3rd, Metro will be on site to support the Senior Resource Fair from 3 to 5 p.m. in the Watsonville Community Room. This event is organized by the Housing Authority of Santa Cruz County, brings together community organizations to share valuable resources with local seniors. Metro will participate in the Touch a Truck event hosted by the Museum of Discovery at Capitola Mall on October 4th from 11 to 4 p.m. This event offers children hands-on access to various trucks, engaging activities, and the annual pumpkin drop. Metro will have a bus on display for attendees to explore. On October 18th, Metro will hold its annual bus rodeo and employee picnic at our new property in Watsonville. We are still seeking volunteers to serve as judges or announcers. Board members who are available to participate or would like more information are encouraged to reach out or to contact Donna Bauer. On October 24th, we will support 2 trunk or treat events this year with decorated buses. One at the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office headquarters on Soquel Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. and one at the fairgrounds in Watsonville from 3 to 7 p.m. On October 26th, Metro will have a Halloween-themed bus on display at the downtown Watsonville Candy Crawl. We encourage everyone to come out for Halloween fun. We also just learned that 3 of Metro's marketing videos have been selected as finalists in the CAPIO, California Association of Public Information Officials Star Awards. These include Metro's How to Ride video, One Ride at a Time, and Metro's Next Stop video series. Final awards will be announced on October 2nd. Last week, the Bus Coalition's Board of Directors elected me to serve as board president. The Bus Coalition is a national alliance of public transit agencies and industry stakeholders that advocate for stronger, more effective federal support and funding for bus transit. Additionally, my appointment to the APTA Board of Directors was finalized in mid-September at APTA's Transform Conference. Both these appointments will provide me with the opportunity to guide strategic direction, advocate for federal support, and foster innovation across the industry, while also ensuring that Metro has a strong voice in these conversations. And that's the end of my report.
Very much. Other comment from directors?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the transportation of the fair. I think that's, always nice to, offer that to our community. I don't know if anyone went to it this year. It was very lovely. Our little county fair, and it was fun. So, thank you for Metro stepping up and doing that. I look forward to also the week without driving. I'll be participating on October 1st in the Watsonville. So I don't know. I'm sure probably Donna's going to be participating in Scotts Valley.
8 or 9 people.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I know our mayor is going to be there, and there's other people. I don't know if they're going to be there. So we look forward to participating in that program, that event in Watsonville. So it'll be on October 1st. Congratulations for the APTA recognitions that I did see. I don't know. I saw that MST had some of their board members there, so I don't know. Usually I know that like Clifford, some of us went. I don't know what happened this year.
That's on me. So
okay,
but we can do that for sure for next year.
Maybe in the future to make sure we include some board members to go, and we're a team,
Yes.
And yeah. So thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Lots going on, lots of fun stuff going on. So thank you for the report and congratulations on that appointment. I think that'll serve our community really well. So thanks for putting in the extra time for that. I did want to say the city of Santa Cruz is participating in the Week Without Driving. We'll be doing a proclamation at our council meeting next week, Tuesday. And I believe 3 of us council members are either going to do the whole week or parts of the week. My kid has wisdom teeth taken out, so I don't think I could do the whole week, but I'm going to try. And yeah, so we're participating in different ways. I'm working with our transportation team and gonna get on bikes and look at the street infrastructure and look at pedestrian and bike safety and what's been done and what can be done. So those are some of the ways that we're gonna participate in Week Without Driving.
Great.
We didn't manage to get a ride along, but maybe next year. Rebecca reached out to us to try to organize it, but we didn't get our act together.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah, similarly, Rebecca.
Chair Downing? You're on mute.
I was going to say, Shubra, you don't need to worry about doing the same thing everyone else does. You're doing your thing, and it's equally important. I love the different flavors of participation. So I think it's great. I think it's great. Thank you. And I wanted to thank the rest of the board of directors that are participating in Week Without Driving. I know varying degrees of abilities to do that. So whatever you can do, go to Week Without Driving and sign up for the challenge, because it doesn't mean you have to go the whole week without it, but it sort of creates that public recognition and endorsement of understanding what it's like for people that don't drive. So I appreciate that. And I wanted to thank Jimmy and Donna and Fabian and Monica, I can't see everybody there, for riding along on the bus next week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I just hope we don't fill the bus in Scotts Valley. And Corey, I really wanted to thank you for your leadership on Week Without Driving, because I don't think it would have been this big if it weren't for you saying, yep, we're going to do it. And I can't see if Danielle is there, but she has just been amazing in planning this. And of course, getting married and having COVID in the middle of it. So I have standing ovation here from the Holiday Inn and from Michael for stepping in for her when she wasn't here because we really needed his help and it was great. So Corey already announced what was going on at the Capitola Mall on Tuesday. I know some of you are going to be in your city council and supervisor meetings. So we understand that you're not going to be able to be there, but we invite everybody else to come and also invite your other city council members to attend and your family and friends. It's going to be a lot of fun there and different ways for people to learn not just what it's like to not drive, but maybe ways that they can make it easier for themselves. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Dr. Orbach?
Oh, I was just gonna say that we also issued a proclamation yesterday at our meeting, I'll be without driving, and I'll be there at the event on Tuesday to speak. So
Thank you, Melinda. I appreciate that.
yes, of course.
Great.
And my commendation, congratulations to CEO Aldridge for all the achievements that, it's only been a year. I mean, my goodness. So,
Well, it's not me, it's
well,
with wonderful staff.
you have great staff and also great leaders. So that's good. And nice to see you be appointed to APTA and this bus coalition. Nice recognition here.
Oh, yeah, this is the
Yeah.
award, the AFTA award we have on display.
Mhm.
I had to haul it in my bag back because nobody else did it. It's heavy.
Thanks to everyone. Yes, you've got a good staff and thank you for all of your dedication as well. And thanks to Rebecca for the leadership with Week Without Driving, getting us all motivated.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I'll add in that John is gonna go on the Scotts Valley ride along and I'll be at the Watsonville, right?
Are there any comments from members of the public on the CEO's report? All right, seeing none, that brings us to adjournment. The next meeting will be Friday, October 24th at 9 a.m. at the County Government Center. And note, our board chambers are under construction, so we'll be in the community room in the basement at 701 Ocean Street. A great time to come by. We'll see you there. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.